it's time to sit back and relax with your favorite drink. And listen.
Now here's a little teaser to get you excited about tonight's story. Some things don't die, they decay. Now when a group of people begin hearing whispers about an abandoned place, some forgotten building where something is said to live, it sounds like nothing more than urban legend, just another story passed around to scare the curious. But the deeper they look, the more the rumors begin to align. People go missing, bodies are found, well, not exactly as they should be, and always there are signs of something that shouldn't still be alive. Because whatever lurks inside, well, drawn in by curiosity or something stronger, those who enter the building soon realize the truth. The thing is waiting, and when it notices you...
The Rotting Man by Suburban Errorist. Began one Friday evening when Zach Arif, Jamal and Elena Lee, and Ahmad Seth, school friends brought together by their mutual interest in ghost stories and urban legends, met up at Seth's house for their weekly session of swapping scary stories. Most of their stories had the usual themes of serial killers hiding inside people's cars, haunted houses, or school games where you had to chant some stupid verse, or stories about people hanging out by the graveyard and getting terrorized by restless spirits, and so on.
Hey, you guys heard about the Rotting Man?
Seth asked. No, Zach said. What's that?
Oh, dude.
He grinned conspiratorially, like he was letting the group in on a bigger secret than the formula for Coca-Cola.
You see,
he began,
the Rotting Man is a creature said to be living in the outskirts of the PJ industrial area.
Elena sighed and wiped her oval face with a delicate pale hand and said in a deadpan voice, "But that place is still so full of electronic factories, and there are plenty of houses and shops there, so there's no way that would go unnoticed."
Dude, let me finish,
Seth insisted, sitting upright on his desk chair.
The thing is, this is the really old part of the industrial area. You know, the spot where there's all these abandoned factories and no one goes there,
except for the guys who cut the grass and stuff.
Yeah,
Zach agreed quickly, remembering the area. It used to be the main industrial spot until the factories closed down in the 80s and left to rot ever since its owners locked the doors for the very last time. With the exception of a few factories, most of them were left unguarded, making it a ripe spot for graffiti artists, homeless people, drug users, and the like. It's only natural someone started making up ghost stories about the place.
So, anyway,
Seth continued while readjusting his glasses and brushing his dark hair,
I heard this from one of the guys that works there. From what he told me, one night there was this graffiti artist who broke into one of the factories. So when he started spray painting, he started to smell this weird rotting smell, okay?
Go on, Zach said, resting his lean figure on the only empty spot on the bedroom wall, which was mostly covered in posters of horror movies and a bookshelf filled with mostly horror novels.
So this guy continued working, thinking that it could be rotten meat someone dumped there at the factory, he continued. But then he started hearing this song like, "Ooh, what have we here? Here's a delicious morsel. Tastes well raw, even better cooked." So he started freaking out. Then he took out his torchlight and he saw it. The Rotting Man.
"What's he like?" Zach asked, leaning forward and looking directly at Seth, twirling his curly long hair in curiosity.
Well, he has a body of a human being, but he has no skin and his flesh is rotting all over. That's all I really know.
But somehow this Rotting Man managed to be strong and agile, Zach asked, raising a curved eyebrow in skepticism.
Hey, that's what I heard, he shrugged. Anyway, when he attacked the guy, he actually bit the guy's neck, but somehow he managed to push him away, give him a few blows with his torchlight, and broke it and escaped, before he ran into the guy that told me the story.
So, what happened to the artist after that? Elena asked.
Shit, I don't know, Seth said, gesturing with his hand as if he was waving it off.
So, it might be real then? Zack asked, leaning forward, not particularly convinced, but curious nonetheless.
Yeah, it might be,
he grinned, and then said,
Come on, let's check it out.
What? Jamal said nervously, his eyes darting around the room, worry written all over his light brown skin. You mean, right now?
Seth rolled his eyes and said, Not right now, bro. Later, tonight. Then we can see if it's real or not.
You sure that's a good idea? Elena asked suspiciously, drumming her long fingers on her bare knees.
Of course it is, he said excitedly, his brown irises clearly shining behind his glasses. I mean, we're exploring to see if a local rumor is true or not. How awesome is that? Shit, man, for all we know, we might even get interviewed in Mastica. Maybe get a guest spot in Seekers. That'd be pretty cool, don't you think?
Yeah, Elena said, rolling her eyes. Being on TV is pretty cool, but it won't happen, Seth. As soon as darkness descended upon the town, the group drove out to the industrial complex, trying not to draw attention to themselves from the industrial workers and guards populating the area. As they drove deeper inside, the surrounding area became even more desolated and dilapidated, with empty, gutted-out buildings, graffiti-covered walls, sporadic lighting barely lighting up the cracked streets, and untended plants coming even more commonplace as they progressed. They then stopped the car next to an abandoned soda factory and got out.
Oh, this is it, Seth said.
You sure this is a factory? Zack asked, looking around the area as he felt that there were at least a dozen factories here that fitted the story's description.
Oh, I think it's this one,
Seth said excitedly as he turned on his torchlight, which provided them with a degree of badly needed light as the lampposts on the streets were working, with no lights coming on from the factory itself. When Seth shone the light at the pitch-black factory complex, it barely penetrated the darkness in the area, adding to everyone's apprehension.
Come on.
Elena smiled and placed a hand on Zack's shoulder, looking up at him.
It's not that bad.
Yeah, he mumbled, sweat beading down his forehead. I'm sure nothing bad will happen.
Oh, come on, Seth urged the group. Well, if I'm not mistaken,
he said, rattling the rusty gates that acted as a barrier between the outside world and the unknown dangers of the factory, and forced it open.
Hey, it's this way,
he said as he stepped into the abandoned factory complex, leading the group into a certain doom.
Hey, let's stay close,
Alana said, without the slightest trace of worry in her voice or on her face, as she stepped into the factory compound herself. Zack soon followed them, his hands clammy with worry and anticipation as he followed the duo, for the last one, Jamal, caught up with them and closed the gate.
Hey, why'd you close the gate? Zack asked curiously.
If I leave it open, the guards might realize someone might be here, Jamal huffed, the brief period of exertion already exhausting his chubby figure.
Zack rolled his eyes.
Yeah, bro, like, no one would notice the empty car parked just in front of the factory, obviously.
Yeah, well, can't do much about that,
he agreed, wiping his sweat-soaked face.
You guys coming or what?
Seth called out, clearly anxious to look around and verify this rumor. Elena waited by his side, her hands on her hips, looking as calm as ever.
Zack and Jamal then jogged up towards them. All right, dude. Now what? Jamal asked, wheezing even more. Now, he said, we look for the rotting man.
Oh, joy, Zack thought to himself. Why did I ever agree to this? Well, sure, I beat staying at home, but now I really wish I had stayed.
So, what's your plan?
Jamal asked, straightening his hefty frame.
Well,
Seth looked around and said,
it's a big place. You think we should split up? We could cover more ground that way. Besides, that thing's probably not that harmful for all we know, right?
Zach said quickly. No way, dude. Haven't you seen those horror movies where if the main characters split up, every single one of them will get chased down by the monster until there's only one remaining?
Well, that'd be me, obviously, Elena said cheerily. The lone girl always survives.
Ah, come on, Zach groaned out loud. Look, let's just stick together. Who knows what might happen? We probably won't run into the rotting man, even if he is real. But a place like this, well, we might meet someone up to no good. At least when we're in a group, the numbers will work to our advantage.
Fair enough,
Seth nodded, before flashing his torchlight around the area.
From what I know, he mumbled out loud, the artist would most likely be doing his work at the main building, so let's start there.
Hello, Seth called out as the group entered the factory building.
Good job, Seth,
Zach groaned. Alert that thing we're around, will you? Just brilliant, bro.
Whatever, man,
he said dismissively as he walked into the factory, flashing his torchlight around.
I want him to know we mean business.
Zach rolled his eyes. You mean business, Seth. I never agreed to this.
Hey, come on now,
Elena said. There's no need to fight, guys.
Yeah, she's right,
Jamal agreed, trying not to look anxious himself.
The sooner we stop arguing, the sooner we can get this over with. The sooner we can go home.
Fine, let's go, Seth began, looking around the barren factory floor, seeing that most of the machinery that previously occupied it was obviously removed by its previous owner. The stairwell leading to the office complex upstairs and the open yard which, judging by the tarmac and overgrowth, is where the bottles would be arranged before being shipped away. He looked around and took another look at the stairwell.
Right, that way, he said.
As they made their way up the staircase, Seth paused for a moment.
Hey, did you guys hear something?
He asked. What, you're chickening out already, sir? Zach sneered.
Shut up, man,
he replied, turning back, glaring directly at Zach.
All you ever do is complain and make fun of me. If you don't want to follow, you can just leave.
Dalakara, Jamal groaned.
Let's go upstairs. We might find something interesting. I mean, we probably won't find the rotten man or whatever he is. And there might be some cool stuff left over, you know.
He is the rotting man, Seth said, upset that the rest of the group wasn't taking it as seriously as he did.
Come on, we're wasting time already. He might be hiding up there. And that's where I heard the noise.
Dude, Elena spoke up. If you heard that noise up there, maybe it's better we stay away from it. If you still want to go upstairs, though, I guess we can wait for a bit before we go up there.
Good idea, Seth agreed. Let's wait for a couple of minutes, and then we'll go upstairs.
The group stood at the stairwell for a few minutes in total darkness. The light from their torchlights was illuminating the floor. There was hardly any sound, save for the shuffling sound of their shoes as they waited anxiously, unable to start up a conversation in that tense, still air blanketing the environment. Zach turned his torchlight on and off repeatedly. Elena kept hers still. Seth kept on shining it upstairs, clearly anxious to go up, while Jamal tried to amuse himself by making shadows with his hands. After waiting for a few more moments, Seth looked at the rest of the group and said,
I think we can go up now.
As they slowly went up the cracked staircase, kicking rubble and empty bottles out of their way as footsteps echoed through the empty factory, they reached the second floor. Well, here we are, Zach said, looking around the office rooms, its rotting doors ajar, as if the last person who left the premises simply left them open for the last time before leaving for good. They then walked down the hallway, peering into the musty, vacant offices with broken light bulbs hanging from the ceiling, the floors littered with used needles and spoons and discarded whiskey bottles. Save for their flashlights, the office floor was covered in complete darkness. Some of the offices had an old desk or chair in the room, One of them had a filing cabinet in them, all in various states of decay and rust. The group went through the cabinet to find anything of interest, but the damp, rotting drawers were barren, except for a few mouldy pieces of paper and broken cheap pens lying in small puddles of stagnant water inside them.
"Well, he's definitely not here," Seth concluded after they'd finished searching through the whole floor. "Let's try elsewhere."
"Oh man, the sooner we finish the better," Elena said.
"Yep, that's what she said," Zach grinned.
Elena punched his shoulder in response. "You jerk."
"Come on, let's go downstairs," Seth said, as he returned to face another set of stairs leading downwards.
Jamal walked down the corridor, having separated himself from the group earlier. He was trying to find a signal on his phone. He was desperately trying to call his mother, just wanting her to know that he'd be fine, and he wasn't up to anything dangerous, when he heard a growling sound right behind him. He broke into a cold sweat, his stomach churning in terror as he wondered what to do next. As he turned around, the first thing he saw was a bony finger, with rotten flesh hanging off its skeletal frame, leaping at him. Frozen in horror, he saw the creature's brown, cracked teeth pouncing at him. The fear and surprise he felt when he first saw the creature was swiftly replaced by utter, blinding pain on his neck. He gasped in shock, immobilized by the pain and blood loss. Mustering the strength needed, he tried to throw the creature away from him, to no avail, as the creature's inhumanly strong grip made it impossible for him to overpower it. His vision blurry from the initial attack, he tried to gain the strength he needed to push it away for the last time, but to his horror, he felt the creature's bony fingers penetrating his eye sockets and began to pull on his eyeballs viciously, which made the pain even worse. The pain from the attack became unbearable, and crippled with pain and fear, his world turned black.
"Oh, eyeballs, eyeballs, little piggy dad, yes. I take piggy's eyes, yummy, yummy, yummy."
The rotting man cackled as it shoved the eyeballs into its own mouth and began eating, then took another look at Jamal's lifeless, blind body, and skittered away humming.
"3 more piggies for my tummy. 3 more piggies and I'll be full. Yes, yes, yes."
"Well, that was a false start," Elena said as they reached downstairs. A moment later, Zach took a look behind them and noticed something amiss. Guys," Zach said as he did a double take, "I just realized Jamal's not with us."
"Oh, shit,"
Seth said, his lips curled in clear distaste.
"I knew that mother's boy was going to be a nuisance."
Elena took out her phone and looked at it. "Well, there's no signal," she said as she placed her phone back in her pocket. "Guess we have to go back and find him now." As soon as they took their first steps on the stairwell, Elena stopped in her tracks.
"Catch up, guys,"
she whispered, her hand blocking them from proceeding.
"Hear that?"
A faint, cackling voice came from upstairs, followed by a faint skittering noise, and they stood there, numb with shock and surprise, until the noise faded out.
"Oh my God,"
Zach whispered.
"He's real." "Did you guys hear that?"
Seth spoke up, his face clearly excited by the turn of events.
"I knew it. I knew the rotting man's real. Oh, guys, this is so cool."
"Border lookout," Elena exclaimed. "If he's real, that means Jamal's in danger." They quickly ran up the stairs, their footsteps echoing in the factory's emptiness. Their lights flashed wildly in the night, highlighting the cracks in the steps. the mold gathering in the ceiling, the rusty steel supports, the decaying doors, and the dust they kicked away in their mad scramble for their friend. They breathed rapidly, the feeling of air brushing against their lungs as they ran, praying that maybe, just maybe, they could reach him in time. After running around and calling out Jamal's name, they turned around a corner and stopped. Jamal's mutilated body was lying on the bathroom floor, his neck almost chewed into half, the huge gaping wound caked with dried blood, with bits and pieces of torn skin, flesh and arteries lying all around the floor. It was the eye sockets that struck them the most, though. The moment they flashed their lights at his body, the first thing they saw with the lights was his bloodied face. His eyes were no longer there, with only empty sockets in their place, staring back at them accusingly, blaming them for bringing him along towards his death, and warning that any one of them could be next. Zach started to feel lightheaded and queasy. He stumbled to a corner, leaned over, and vomited loudly. "Dude, are you okay?" Elena asked, concerned. "Yeah," Zach said weakly. "Just... what the fuck happened, man?" All of a sudden, Seth burst into a fit of hysterical laughter. "Shit, don't you guys see it? The rotting man's real, man," he continued, waving his hands at Jamal's lifeless body. "And he just ate up Jamal's eyes. Oh, he's definitely real, you guys. He actually eats body parts like in the story. Do you have any idea how cool this is?" "My God," Elena said. "You've lost the plot, bro." "Oh, no. Seth smiled as he got up and waved his chubby finger at them. "Grang tak faham bai. The running man is real, you guys. I'm going to prove it to the world. I'll get the evidence to show everyone he's real. You guys are going to help me." "No way, dude." Zach stood up. "We're out of here. But look what it did to Jamal, man." "Oh, come on," Seth said. "What happened with Jamal's a real tragedy, but look at it this way. If we gather the evidence and prove to everyone that it's real, maybe we can, avenge his death or something." "You idiot," Elena said. "You can't just leave him here like that. What about the police? What about his mom?" "What about them?" Seth asked. Zach stood up, looking at Seth with surprise. "What about them? Dude, don't you get it? The police will ask what we were doing here, why we didn't call them sooner, and then we have to deal with his mom, man. Shit, she hasn't been too good ever since his dad died. Now he's dead too." Zach tried to continue, his voice cracking, but no words came out. He leaned against a wall and covered his face. "Oh, man, this is bad. This is really bad. We should get out of here." Seth rubbed his face with his hands and looked at the both of them. "All right," he said. "Here's what we'll do. Let's go and find that thing first, and we'll make it pay for what it did to Jamal here. Once we've done that, we'll come up with an alibi about, some junkie attacking him when he wasn't looking or something." "That's a pretty stupid idea," Zach mumbled, "but I can't think of anything better." "I still think we should get out of here fast," Elena argued. "Oh?" Seth said, glaring at Elena. "Do you have any better ideas?" "Look, I say we get out of here now," Elena replied. "Call the police and tell them the story you just said earlier. If we go to them right now, well, they're less likely to think that we killed Jamal. Just think, guys. We visited an abandoned factory in the middle of the night. Jamal shows up dead. Instead of going to them immediately, we simply decide to look around some more. God, anyone would think something weird's going on here." "Well, she's got a point there," Zach nodded. "Maybe we should leave now." No, you guys." Seth stood up between them. "We should investigate further. We're not doing this for ourselves. We're doing this for Jamal.
That creature simply got lucky when it attacked him. We've got numbers on our side now, plus if we want to stay alert, we might be able to stay one step ahead of that creature. Once we get the proof, well, if we kill that creature, we'll be able to avenge Jamal's death and show everyone that thing's real. Fuck this, Elena exclaimed and turned around. I'm getting out of here. Come on, Zach. Zach didn't even respond to her request, standing at the same spot, looking down at the floor. Elena grabbed his elbow and started shaking it. Come on, bro, let's go. We should get out of here now. Zach pulled his arm away and looked at her. I don't know, man. I'm starting to have second thoughts here. Elena looked at him in dismay, her mouth open in disbelief. Seriously, Zach? It's not safe here, man. Let's go, come on. Zach and Seth simply remained standing, looking at her blankly. Look, Seth began. I know you want to get out right now. It's dangerous out there, especially if you go out there by yourself. That creature's still out there, and God knows what'll happen if he finds you wandering around by yourself. Let's stick together, find that thing, and get out of here. What do you say? Elena rubbed her eyes and blinked for a moment before saying, All right, Seth. Let's go with your plan for now. If anything goes wrong, though, we're out of here. Seth smiled weakly and held up both of his hands. All right, I get it. So, where should we go now? Zach asked as he straightened himself up again. I don't know, Seth admitted, but I don't think it's on this floor anymore. He looked around for a moment before he looked out of the window and noticed the back of the factory. We could try there. It's out in the open, so there's no way it'll take us by surprise. Zach ran his hand through his curly hair. Shit, at this rate, any place is a good place to start. The three of them went downstairs, past the production floor, and then went outdoors. They paused for a moment as they looked around the area, with weeds growing between the cracks in the parking lot, the empty crates and broken bottles strewn all over the place, trying to find their bearings in the pitch-dark environment. As they looked around, Elena stooped over and picked up a piece of wood, while Zach picked up a large rock that was next to him. Seth picked up a still intact bottle and grasped it in his hands. Right, he said. Let's try the storeroom over there. Elena was about to protest, but Seth brushed her off and entered the storeroom. Zach and Elena waited for Seth outside the storeroom, anxious to leave the area as soon as possible. Just as Elena was about to approach the door to check up on Seth, a gust of wind blew through the storeroom door and closed it. As if on cue, they heard Seth quickly approaching the door and rattling on the doorknob. "The fuck, guys?" Seth demanded, banging on the door. "Why'd you lock me in?" "It wasn't our fault, man," Zach replied. "It just closed by itself. Try opening it from the inside." "Dude, I can't," Seth exclaimed. As they fumbled with the doorknob, Elena heard a galloping sound approaching them from behind. Dreading the worst, she turned around and saw a humanoid figure with rotting flesh clinging onto its bones rapidly approaching them, its mouth twisted in a grotesque smile. "Oh, shit, Zach stammered, his knees shaking in fear. "What do we do now?" "Don't leave me behind, you guys," Seth demanded. "Hold him off." But before they could react, the creature leapt towards Zach. In a moment of courage, he ran forward and threw himself at the monster, tackling it to the ground. With his rock in one hand, he quickly bashed it down on the creature's head, smashing against its skull, dust and rotten flesh flying everywhere. Injured from the attack, it swiftly turned its head towards Zach and glared directly at him through its empty eye sockets. Zach stopped for a moment, shocked from what he'd seen, and quickly scooted back before getting up on his knees immediately. He quickly charged again, trying to hit the monster with the rock once more, but the creature quickly gripped Zach's throat with his skeletal hand, chunks of rotting flesh sliding against his throat, the overpowering stench of rotten flesh filling his nostrils.
As Zach struggled to break free from its grasp, Elena attacked the monster from behind, hitting it with the plank in her hands. The creature cringed for a moment, threw Zach against the wall before twisting its head to meet Elena's horrified face, her jaw frozen in terror as the creature smiled at her. The impact from hitting the wall head-on quickly knocked Zach off. With Zach unconscious, it turned its attention towards Elena. Panicked by the turn of events, she started to run away, but seeing Zach lying on the ground and worrying for his safety, she decided to stand her ground, holding the plank with her shaking hands, anticipating the creature's next attack. It rushed towards her. When it got close to her, she immediately swung the plank towards the creature, but it deftly moved sideways before it jumped on her, grabbing her throat with its right hand. Soon, Elena felt his fingers digging in, felt her heart beating rapidly in her chest as it slowly pulled her throat out of her neck. The more it pulled, the more she gagged and gasped for breath, before the creature then ripped out her throat in one single, swift move. It then tossed her body aside like a doll, blood still sputtering out of the gaping wound, and walked away from the spot while slurping and crunching on her throat. Tough. Chewy, it said, walking slowly away from the scene. Zach soon drifted back to consciousness, his vision blurry and his head throbbing badly from the earlier impact. As his vision started to clear up, he began to get a hold of his bearings and looked around. He soon saw that he was indoors, lying by the production floor. He stood up, his knees shaking as he tried to straighten himself up, his head pounding as he did so, before falling back down again. He sighed, unsure of what to do next. Just as he was about to stand up again, a figure emerged from a corner and smiled sadly at him. "Elena's gone, man," Seth said as he approached him. "Gone?" Zach asked. "But how?" "The rotting man got her. You got knocked out when you tried to attack him, and she tried to save you, but that thing killed her instead." Seth sighed then, as he took off his glasses and wiped them before putting them back on once more. "Fuck," Zach said. "It should have been me." "Don't stop berating yourself," Seth said. "There's nothing you could do about it." "Wait, how'd you get out of the storeroom?" "The door popped open after the rotting man disappeared," Seth explained. "I kept slamming on it until the lock broke." "Oh," Zach said. "That's weird." "Yeah, I got lucky," Seth shrugged. "Come on." He pulled Zach up. "We gotta go find that monster." "What?" Zach exclaimed. "Why?" "Come on, man," Seth replied. "Don't you want to get back at it after what it did to Jamal and Elena?" "No, man," Zach replied and started to walk away. "I've had enough of this. I want to go home." "That's easy for you to say. Go home and cry in bed, right? You could help me and avenge them, man," Seth retorted. "Please, man, just let me go," Zach pleaded. Seth grabbed Zach's shoulders and shook him. "Come on, man," he said. "We can't give up now. We've come this close to revealing the rotting man. Once we've shown them the proof that it exists, they'll help us find that monster and avenge their deaths." "Dude, that's a really bad idea," Zach protested. "I mean, if we show it to them, they'll probably say we faked the whole thing and we killed them, man. I think we should leave." Seth sighed and let his hands drop by his sides. "All right, point taken. But we're not going anywhere." "What?" Zach blinked, staring at Seth in disbelief. "We're still going to look for the rotting man," Seth said, a smile creeping across his lips. Zach shook his head. "No way, bro. I'm not going to do it." Seth chuckled underneath his breath. "Shit, man. I didn't ask you if you want to do it. You're doing it because I'm telling you to." "What?" Zack stammered, his jaw slightly ajar in disbelief. What do you mean, what? Seth chuckled, a smile creeping up his face. Man, you really are dumb, aren't you? I want to go, Seth, Zack said, trying to get away from him. Seth stepped up in front of Zack and said, I'm not going to let you go anywhere. I'm not about to let that creature get away without proof that it exists. I don't want to, Zack snarled, his hands curling into fists. I've had enough. Oh, Seth laughed. Look who's finally got his balls back. Too bad my plan involves me leaving here alive, not you guys. What are you talking about, Seth? Oh, come on, Seth said. You really that slow? I planned this whole thing all along, man. I brought you guys here so you could lure it out. I knew Jamal would sneak off to call his mom, so that way it will call the rotting man's attention towards himself, thus showing you guys that he's real. He then made a circular motion with his hand, something he would normally do when he wants to make a point, and said, the part about Elena dying earlier, though, that was totally unplanned. He smiled then. So, guess I should be sorry about that, huh? Wait, so that storeroom, you locked yourself in there while we were being attacked by the rotting man? Yeah, Seth said. I just pretended I couldn't open the door. And I pleaded you guys to stay, not just for my own safety, but also so I could get some evidence it's real. Why are you doing this, Seth? Zack asked, his eyes wide with disbelief. Why? I thought we were friends. Yeah, kinda. Seth shrugged his shoulders. The thing is, I've always wanted to try and break into the paranormal scene, you know. Well, this is it, man, my big break. I just have to prove to everyone it's real. That'll be my big breakthrough. So where exactly do we come into this? Zack replied numbly, his mouth dry. Oh, I didn't tell you the whole story, did I? The thing was, well, the artist wasn't alone, man. Seth grinned. Well, the rumor that there was a man-eating monster in this factory has been going on for quite a while, actually. He looked at Zack and added, So one day I convinced this guy I met tagging up somewhere around Subang. Told him about this place. Like how no one comes here and there's no guards, so it's a perfect spot for him. So I gave him this address, and we came here with another friend of his. What happened was, we then split up, and that creature got to his friend first. Luckily, we managed to get away from that thing in time. Another thing, though. When we were getting out of here, we actually stumbled into the dead body. We realized how lucky we were. So, Zack stared at Seth. We're nothing more than bait, then. Seth lifted his hands up in the air and exclaimed, He finally gets it. Boys and gals, we made a breakthrough. And yeah, when I heard of that, I realized the best thing to do was to get as many people between me and the creature, so that way it'll get to them first. Well, I'll be able to make a clean getaway as he feasts on you guys. Seth then took out his phone and started fiddling with it. Oh yeah, wait till you see this, man. Then started playing a video file. It might be a bit shaky, but I'm pretty sure you can make it out right. Zack stood silently as he watched the video. Despite the slight darkness and shakiness of it, he was able to see the figures in the video, especially the rotting man and how he'd seen him face to face. He then heard the sounds made by the creature as it advanced towards them, the clear tension when he and Elena were trying to fight off the creature, the sight of him getting knocked out, before seeing Elena getting choked and the sound of her throat being ripped out and her dying gasps. This all brought him towards the edge. Right, that's it, Seth, he growled. I've had enough of this. Oh, you have? Seth smiled. Too bad I'm not letting you go anywhere. Zack stepped up to Seth and delivered a blow to his gut. Seth coughed and gasped for breath before looking back up at Zack. That's the best you got? No, I'm just getting started, Zack responded before charging toward Seth. Seth quickly picked up a piece of rubble from the ground and threw it at Zack, but missed. Seth then ran across the production floor, using the remaining machinery for cover, while Zach trailed behind him. Seth then bolted upstairs, heading towards the office floor again, and went into hiding while Zach lurked around the hallway, looking out for him. "Seth," he called out. "Come out, you coward." Zach looked into the offices, but he couldn't find Seth no matter how hard he tried. "Fuck it," Zach said, giving up. "Might as well get out of here." Zach then walked towards the end of the corridor, towards the staircase. Just as he was about to start descending down the steps, he felt a powerful blow on the back of his head. Blinded by pain, he fell down the staircase and stopped at the landing. His vision blurry with pain, he looked back to the top of the staircase, saw Seth's chubby figure standing there, holding a piece of wood and looking smugly at him. "Sorry, man," Seth said. "Like I said, I intend to get out of this alive." "Fuck you," Zach muttered. "Fuck you, man." Just as Seth was about to reply, he stopped for a moment, looked around and frowned. "Well, I guess I better go now. He's getting close," he said. Before Zach could reply, Seth had quickly run away, leaving Zach to fend for himself. "Damn it," Zach muttered, trying to get up again before slipping down to the floor. He stayed there, sweat pouring down his head, his stomach churning in terror as he saw the rotting man slowly ascending up the stairs, smiling, its yellow, rotted, jagged teeth visible in the darkness, its stench choking his nostrils. "Don't you dare come any closer," Zach warned the shambling figure lurching towards him. "Why not?" it hissed as it shambled closer towards Zach. "I'm still hungry. I want meat. Nice, juicy meat, yes." Zach slowly stood back up, his knees wobbling in pain, unsure of what to do. The only possible way was to go upstairs, but that didn't offer him much in terms of escape. The offices on the floor didn't even have a flimsy door to buy him an extra few seconds to run away from this abhorrent creature shambling towards him. Despite his incredibly bleak prospects, Zach stood back up, deciding that he wanted to live after all. "Don't come any closer," he warned the creature walking towards him, slime dripping out of his mouth, before he ran upstairs again, his head pounding in pain as he ran. The rotting man quickly lunged towards him, tearing off a chunk of flesh from his leg. "Ah, oh God," Zach shouted, and kicked at the rotting man's face. The monster then grabbed his bloody leg again, the blood seeping down from his jeans towards its bony skeletal hands, before throwing him down the staircase. Zach's body hit the landing again, completely immobilized by the injuries he'd sustained from the impact. He lied on the floor, his nose bleeding as he saw the rotting man moving down the staircase, and the creature lurched slowly towards him with a gleeful smile. The creature growled as it approached Zach, its jagged teeth visible in the darkness as it shambled towards him. Even as Zach tried to crawl away from it, his injuries made it impossible for him to do so. "Oh, don't run away," it said. "Meats tastier when it stays in one place." All he could do then was to close his eyes and pray. As he uttered, "Oh God, help me," the monster leapt towards him, digging its hands into his chest. Zach felt blinding pain overtake him as he felt something being pulled out of his chest. He shrieked in pain, his voice getting slower and slower as he felt the darkness clouding his vision. Seth stumbled out of the factory, opening the gates slowly, and then he reached the car. With the keys he'd taken from Jamal, he entered the vehicle and started the engine. The moment he pressed his foot on the gas pedal, he heard a scream coming from within the factory, then slowly drove away. "Better you than me, guys," he smiled, looking at his own reflection in the rearview mirror while driving off into the darkness. Better you than me. Hey, boo, not fair. Hey, the bad guy won that one. Don't like that. Well, that was a creepy one, wasn't it? Hope you enjoyed that one. Back to the old school kind of horror that I haven't done for quite a while, and some of you really do enjoy those kinds of stories. A bit gruesome in places. My apologies to those of you who are a bit squeamish. But like I said, I don't do those all the time, so it was nice for a change. Well, lots of things lined up for the next few weeks. Some biggies, returning to some old series to finishing them off. So hope you're looking forward to that. Lots of new stuff as well. But that's it for this evening. Till then, my dear friends, very, very sweet dreams. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this story today. Really means a lot to me and to the author of the story, of course. Well, if you want to know more about me, I'm pretty much everywhere on social media. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can download my music on SoundCloud. I've got a Patreon if you feel like. Throw me $1 or $2. Very much appreciated. And of course, on Reddit, I have a place where you can leave stories if you want me to read one that you've written. Well, hoping to see you all again very soon. Till then, sweet dreams. Bye-bye.